Hello and welcome back to this program. This is the 6th episode of this program, and in today's episode we're looking into France's Neo-colonialism in Africa, praised by the former French Prime Minister Pompidou. And my protest in this context today is that France must respect decolonization of her colonies and get the hell out of Africa. The French perpetual grips and continued maintenance of economic and cultural stranglehold on her colonies are far from decolonization. France has continued to flaunt her powers by significant military presence and influence in Africa, politically, socially, economically, and culturally, and yet the establishment of the UN presence in Africa, which claims to end poverty and all its forms, achieve security and promote sustainable agriculture, has failed. And UN claims to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education for all, lifelong learning opportunity for all. On the contrary, the UN are not different from France. The UN soldiers raped our women, got them pregnant and dumped them, creating a generation of doom and half-caste without fathers and status. They steal our resources and turn back and stereotype Africa as a corrupt continent. The presence of UN in Africa is catastrophic and highly exploitative. We don't want UN in Africa. Neither do we want French police and soldiers monitoring our territory. They should leave Africa alone. French colonies cannot make any significant progress while France increased economic entrenchment. The French dramatic colonial tradition of military interventions and continued effort to maintain her dominance and imperialism in Africa is no different from UN capacity to maintain crisis in Africa, which they systematically planted. French intervention in Ivory Coast is simple exhibition of power, which is the same unilateral form of intervention of both the UN and the Westerners. Why are the UN and the Westerners remains adamant to encounter French constant intimidation and continued dominance of her colonies? And how does democracy justify this French autocracy called assimilation, which is the main mechanism for French neo-colonialism in these countries? You must agree with me that the present study shows that the main characteristics and essential element of France's post-colonial policy in Africa are often concealed under the carpet. Eventually, it is concluded that neo-colonial strategies has been adopted in order to preserve a status quo that is clearly favorable to the conservative interests of France. If you don't know, let me tell you that 80% of Ivory Coast GDP goes to France reserve, while taxes and port authorities in Ivory Coast are controlled in France by a French institution called BIVAC, who determines Ivory Coast's custom duties. How is that? Ivory Coast is a country of population of 25.5 million people, a very rich country of all sorts of mineral resources with a GDP of 47 billion US dollars, which is to say if everyone in Ivory Coast received just 1 million CFA a month, it won't be noticeable from the country's gross domestic product. Yet, Westerners call Africa poor and corrupt, undermining the 80% of the 47 billion US dollars forcibly stolen by the French each year. It will make you weep if I go in detail what France does in these countries. Yet, President Emmanuel Macron vomits trash against the Africa, the same Africa that feeds his country. The Italian president Di Maio is the only European leader who denounced being a hypocrite and talked about the effect of immigration and the causes, and condemned the other European leaders and France in particular for continuing colonizing Africa and making policies which is causing the immigration influx in Europe. He further split the truth, which many Europeans wouldn't say, about France being classified the 15th world richest economy without French colony, especially Ivory Coast, who fund them. How about live and let live? The world leaders hold the conspiracy G summit meeting that constantly put African reputation down and branding Africa toward world countries and poverty rate. And the French president again, Emmanuel Macron or whatever he called himself, made a derogatory and disrespectful comment about Africa, that spending billions of euro will not bring stability in Africa. Why? Having 7 or 8 children per woman is the order of the day. Well, of course, yes. We don't need your billions. We don't need your money. All we are saying is get the hell out of Africa and we will be fine. What a mockery from a president that is impoverishing and constantly manipulating the economy of the African countries that use CFA, franc, a colonial era currency, which is underpinned by the French treasury. And France is one of those countries that prints money for the African countries, prevents their economic development, and contribute to the fact that the refugees live and die in the Western seas. Yet, Africa is called corrupt continent. The truth is that the Westerners is the master of corruption, broad daylight robbers, and blood-sucking demons. And they come back complaining about immigration influx in Europe. Let me remind you, let me tell you, that he who has swallowed the pestle has chosen to sleep while standing up. Leave Africa alone. Well, viewers, we can go on and on and on African issues, from money cock crow until chicken went to roost. But time is not on our side, and I'll draw a curtain here. I thank every one of you who has subscribed to this channel, who has encouraged us by your comment, by your like, by subscribing to our channel, and personally contacted me on my email. I sincerely appreciate every one of you that support us and following us. But tune on this channel. Tune on this channel. Yet a lot to come, with so many things to talk about here. Those truths that has been hidden under the carpet, I will unveil it to the public. And I hope you're enjoying it. Stay tuned. Goodbye.